and the council would like to inform the public that we're actively trying to stabilize the situation. Our town council deeply appreciates the efforts of our employees to maintain a high quality of service and work for the town. The town has reached out to the county chair of the Republican Party about the process of replacing Mrs. Galloway, and there will be likely more information coming very soon regarding the caucus process. The council desires to issue this statement to inform the public that the council is excited about the future that Cloverdale has to offer. And though the last few months have been kind of turbulent here in the town, the council does believe that many good things are to come. Cloverdale has so many wonderful things to offer the state, our county, and even the nation. And we're working on developing a vision for where the town will go in the future. We believe that our current struggles will be short-lived and soon we'll have stability and unity through Town Hall and through our community. So, I don't know if any of the council would like to address any of that, or anything you want to note.
Do we have to officially acknowledge that resignation?
Well, we don't. Ms. Galloway did provide a notice to the council in writing, and she did provide notice to the clerk of the court in Putnam County, so that has been received.
She has resigned before, and then nobody accepted the resignation.
Yeah, I don't believe we would need to. She has followed all the statutory provisions for submitting her resignation. So I don't believe we would need to do that, Gary.
I believe the letter was directed to the clerk of court.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, and then we were copied on it, so it actually was,
Yeah, she's never went that far.
she notified the clerk of court that she was resigning.
Dan?
I remember the last time this happened, she resigned and everything, and the board did not vote on it, and I was told that that's the reason that she got to come back, because there was not a unanimous decision by the board to accept her resignation.
She had not filed a formal written letter of resignation. She did a verbal resignation.
I understand that.
This is an official written resignation letter to the clerk of court.
To the clerk of the
Yes.
court. Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else from the board? Okay. Additions and deletions from the agenda. We do not have claims and transfers prepared yet.
They will be done with the help of the internal controls accountant and myself tomorrow.
And we will have those at the next council meeting.
That'd be next month then, or we're gonna have a special?
It'll either be next month, or if we have a special, it'll be
Okay.
at the special open meeting.
Alright.
And do we not have minutes? Don't have minutes either, do
So I filled out the minutes and I emailed them to Cheryl and to Daniel pending approval. If Daniel feels that they're sufficient, I can print them off and again have them at the, and then moving forward, I can just,
So, Sam did send minutes for our last meeting, but there were several meetings that we never received the minutes from Mrs. Galloway. The last communication that I had with her was that she had prepared those. So we'll have to go back and try to figure out, and if the good thing is we've recorded all of these meetings, so we can go back and take note and do minutes if necessary, if she didn't complete those. So, I guess at this time I would just request that the council, we have a reasonable amount of time to get that approved, so I would request that we take that off the agenda for this evening and put it on our next meeting agenda.
Okay, is there anything else, additions or deletions from the agenda? We probably should add, well, I guess it's INDOT, so that's already there. INDOT on the sidewalk?
Yes,
The
No.
the
and I
letter.
can address that for the council.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the amended agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Cindy Holland,
Aye.
Rick Deerwester,
Aye.
Gary Bennington,
Aye.
Larry Fidler,
Aye.
Greg Day.
Aye.
Town Marshal.
Yes, we've got a copy of our monthly activity on there. The big thing I'll point out is, I mean, we're approaching 1,000 calls for service for the year. Most of it during the pandemic or during the stay-at-home order and such has been really focused on a high visibility, high patrol in the areas, in the neighborhoods. I think most people, a lot of businesses have seen us leaving cards and such at the businesses, and we're gonna continue that for the foreseeable future. The officers are starting to make several more stops now as, at this point, we just have taken the necessary precautions when we do. Probably three of the areas I wanted to try to cover tonight. One of the things, we've gotten some complaints about the appliance guy again with all the stuff stacked up on the sidewalk. We'll be getting that addressed yet this week with red tagging, followed by ticketing. So try to get some voluntary compliance on that. Once again, our pay came out, and I've got 3 of the officers being overpaid. Levi by 50 cents an hour. Adam is still getting, I think it's like over $2,000 extra a year broken down to his paycheck, and same thing with James Collins is $1,000 extra a year. Again, we talked about pay increases for the rest of the officers, but we need to find out where we're at with salary. I know one of the things let's talk about, I presented for a draft to you, Daniel, and to Lisa, Larry, and Greg on a strategic plan. It's about 42-page strategic plan, but it also incorporates a pay matrix that if we can figure out exactly what we've got in the salary, it kind of helps walk us through that to be more manageable across the board. So we'll be working toward that. We also found out that Rick Lambert has been underpaid. When he went from his full-time last year to part-time, with the hours and everything, he was supposed to be making $20,000 a year, and I have to go back. We tried to find the pay ordinance today, can't find the pay ordinance. But it should be $20,000. Well, he's checked, and he's only getting paid a little over $15,000 breakdown. So we're missing about $5,000 for him, which this was news to me. So we'll be following up with that. The other thing, the council will see a little note in there about a news release we're going to try to get out. Don't mind the date on there, that was prepared back in April, but basically that's just to inform you today of what I'm trying to do. We're trying to go after grants to help augment the funding for the police department. There's several grants available out there. The first one we're going after is a USDA grant to get us in line for future cars that we're going to be able to get. That USDA grant pays 55% of the cost of the car. So we're going after that, but it requires, it's got to be posted in the paper for 10 days prior to the council voting on that for us to move forward trying to get that. So that's one of the first ones we're trying to go after. We're also looking at ones in regards to vests, because we're going to be having to replace vests. And just so you know, these are about $1,000 to $1,200 a pop. And they've got a 5-year life cycle on them, and so they have to be replaced. So we'll be getting into some of that, but there are vest grants out there, and also our reserves. We don't have the funding to actually pay for the reserves, so we're getting different vests, and we find ways to get reserves vests, and there's some grant opportunities out there for that as well. Also communication, most of our radios in the older cars are all outdated where they don't even have replacement parts for them anymore. So like the new car we just picked up has got a new radio in it. My truck's got a new radio, so that as we want to try to replace those with more updated technology. But there are grants out there that can help us with that. And then lastly, personnel. There's a grant we missed the timeline on this year. We're going to try to be ready for next year where you can actually pick up some officers, up to 3 officers, but we're going to look at, but it's 3 years paid, all salary, benefits and everything. The 4th year, then the town would have to fit the bill on. So there's some strategies there that we need to try to take a look at how we can help use some other opportunities. So barring any questions,
Anyone on the board have a question for Marshal Hibbler?
Now, the vests you talk about, those are the ones that are made for that person too, right?
Right, there, yeah, because that's another thing, because everybody's made differently, and the way the vests are supposed to fit, and there's been a lot of police officers shot here in the, recently, so we wanna make sure we've got the right protective equipment for it.
Okay. Clerk treasurer.
For those of you that don't know me, my name is Samantha Hinman. I work in the water side, on a part-time basis, as I'm a full-time student. Luckily, I guess would be the word. This so happened that the school semester is over and I can fill in as needed to kind of help fill in some of the in between while we're trying to kind of figure out everything that's going on. I do have a pretty good idea of the water side, which if you've paid your bill in person, you've probably seen me. In the past, I know that ADP versus Keystone is a big thing, which I, with the help of Suzette, the accountant that oversees basically that all of us in the office are staying honest, helped me to find the 2019 pay from ADP, which you will find in front of you. There was one question of the garnishment that is like 7 or 8 items down. So that is the only thing we're not sure of, that maybe it was keyed in incorrectly. But if you look on the second page, the ADP total was for $2,661.85 for the payment in 2019, and they are all listed. In the previous years, it kind of basically was between $2,500 and $2,700, give or take, pending the year, pending the number of employees, and it's based on how much money goes out. So, that being said, Keystone, the first year, is $3,950. That includes the software, the licensing, and the training, which is included in, because unfortunately, none of us can do payroll except for Trina. Trina, it's a lot to do transfers from 3 different accounts, and she is trying her darndest. It's a lot of man hours, and it's a lot of time, and it's a lot of stress for one person to be thrown into it. Keystone, who, come to find out, we have already uploaded into the software, like we already have it, and we've already paid for it for the year. Which, from talking to Suzette, who has been at this for a really long time, she said that because it was in the budget, just basically payroll X amount, it was in the budget. It was the clerk treasurer's decision on which software. So it was done legally. Moving forward, after the initial where there's the training, again, that's already been paid for, it's $1,440 a year, which is a 12,000-ish savings each year to the town to go with Keystone. And on an added bonus, there is a payroll training on Monday the 18th. So I feel very confidently in saying that myself, along with Suzette the accountant, who is very familiar with Keystone, she actually used to work for Keystone and can do a lot of the minor tweaking without having to go through them. I mean, I'm gonna say that that's a better option, going with ADP. If there are no issues, and if it gets done correctly, you're gonna be paying double anyway. You're gonna be paying for ADT and Keystone. Keystone's already been paid for. I say we utilize it. ADP, there's no contract, so it's basically you don't use it, you don't pay for it. And again, if we move forward with Keystone, there will be no gap in pay. Everyone will continue to, it'll be like it never happened. It's already been uploaded into the system, so you'll still get one W-2. And Susie is the accountant is available to help through TeamViewer from her wherever she's at. She's got her laptop. She can pop into and show us exactly what to do, how to fix it. She is not able to do that with ADP. So if there's an issue, we're kind of on our own. ADP doesn't have like the help that Keystone and Suzette can provide. It also will take less time, as we already have Keystone for basically our fund, where we transfer all of our funds in instead of having to transfer it from basically from Keystone into ADP. It's already in Keystone. You just upload the hours and you're done. So that is my suggestion, is to move forward with Keystone. Yes.
You explain the $12,000 savings?
So in 2019, ADP cost the town roughly $2,600.
Yeah.
After the initial first year with the training, Keystone will only cost $1,440. The difference between the 26 minus 14 is about 12,000 or 1,200.
1,200, not 12,000.
1,200.
Oh,
1,200.
Okay, you said 12,000.
You did. Oh, my mistake. 1,200.
And you're gonna be working with Susie to correct the police officers.
Yes, which
Payroll
Steve, if you could
errors.
give me the correct numbers by Friday,
We
that
can get
way,
that corrected by next
Yeah.
cycle.
then we can, at least moving forward, it may take a little bit of time to fix it, just because I'm not really sure what it will take to fix it in the process. But at least moving forward, they can get the correct pay going into the new program.
I have a question.
Yes,
So do we have to change tax papers and all that stuff, she said? Why?
I don't think so.
That should be
As
in
far
there.
as,
Sounds like everything's already been
yeah.
I was
transferred.
gonna say.
As
it should
far
be.
as I know, it's all already been transferred.
So there won't be a conflict between ADP, what they've already paid the officers, and to what Keystone will pick up and try to retro everything and fix it. Is there gonna be an issue?
I
We're
don't,
gonna have to pay ADP additionally to find out, you know what I mean?
I'm not sure where we sit with ADP. I know that moving forward with Keystone, the person that's doing the teaching, will be able to fix. So as long as I have the correct numbers moving forward,
Yeah.
we should be able to proceed with Keystone correctly. And then, again, it may take a little extra time, kind of depending on what hoops
Well,
to jump through.
one thing
and-
I would recommend is we break up that adjustment over a couple of pay periods, because they have been overpaid now for
Yeah.
Twice.
several cycles, and rather than just short them one big check,
big-
split it up over a couple of pay cycles
Okay.
for the amount that they need to correct it.
Okay, yeah, and if I could get that number as well, what was overpaid?
Yeah.
Steve will
Yeah,
get
we
that.
can get that, and probably one of the more troubling things I saw today is Rick has been underpaid since the first of the year.
So we
Yeah.
need to work on
Right,
that
offset
too.
thing, But
Yeah.
like Greg's saying, that way,
Yeah.
it's not one chunk coming out of one paycheck, so. yeah.
Although I'm sure you probably wouldn't mind one big chunk
Yeah,
of
right.
a
Yeah.
extra.
Guys, just so you know, before the meeting, I was able to reach out to Susie and get a little bit more clarification, like what Sam was saying, on the budgeted amount. And I think that was kind of the problem that we were all dealing with last week, was we're trying to get these questions answered. It really wasn't Sam's fault, she wasn't present. She
Right.
wouldn't know that information, Cheryl had signed the contract, so, ultimately, my understanding after speaking with Susie is that those funds had already been budgeted last year for this year. So, knowing that, then it makes me feel more comfortable that those funds have already been appropriated for that purpose, but of course, it wasn't easy to get that information because
Yeah.
of the situation that we were involved in at the time, so. So I guess, that is a positive thing, that if, once Susie kinda assists Sam, or whomever in the office in getting this process started and moving forward, we'll be able to get the officers' pay corrected, make sure that Rick's getting paid what he should be, and then hopefully have a little bit easier process moving forward with this new program. So, from what just from talking to Susie, it sounds like it definitely is a positive, so.
Okay.
But that was kinda, I think, last week and the week before that, that's what we needed those questions answered, but now that we have them, I think the council probably has a much better grasp of the situation, so.
Before moving on, do we need a vote on that, or are we good because it was budgeted?
Yes, if those, according to Susie, those funds have already been appropriated, so we won't need to do anything with that.
Her only thing was, legally, if Larry, or I don't know if the board will have to vote on it, I will need a written okay for me to take care of claims and payroll and the other clerk treasurer duties until a new clerk treasurer is appointed.
So council, if you are comfortable with Sam taking on that role, then I would, probably what we'll do is I can draft a letter, and if you guys would like to have someone designated as the signee, we can get that sent over to Susie, and she can begin working with Sam. So,
I think the letter, Larry could sign as president.
So I have a question. So
Sure.
Trina's not going to, she doesn't mind. Trina,
yeah, I'm not sure what the status on Trina is.
okay.
When I had previously spoken with Cheryl, and actually Larry was on the telephone call, she had indicated that Trina was working full-time. I think she's not. I think she's been working in the evenings, but I'm not sure how many hours she's been putting in averaging. So I'm not sure like what's going on with that. So I think that's something we need to investigate a little bit further and
Well, I'm just
see if we
worried
can just
that
identify
she-
kind of
Right.
what Trina's hours have been and kind of what she's been doing. Cause we'd like to get her in on this process as well.
Right, that's what I'm
so.
saying, so I don't wanna not.
Not just to
against you,
put it all in
but
favor,
just-
yeah, just-
Yeah,
I
if
agree.
she wants to be, great, if she don't, then.
I think part of that is I think, she has her 2 boys and her husband works. I think that it's a lack of babysitter.
I know, but she's had a babysitter before.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, I
I-
just don't wanna leave her out.
yeah, no, and I'm not super sure. I know that I'm available in a more immediate fashion where I have babysitter kind of
Right.
all the
And I'm
time.
not saying I don't want her, I'm just saying if we find that,
Right.
I mean, we find out that Trina wants to, I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Well, I think at this point in time, we're gonna kind of make it a dual role,
Okay.
where they are going to work
together.
together.
Okay,
But depending on availability, we just need to make sure that we have all bases covered all the
exactly, I
time.
get that, okay,
And Trina also should have access already, and I
Okay.
do not.
okay. Oh, okay, I see what you're asking, okay.
Okay, we need a motion to approve a letter. Is that
Yes,
correct?
I would welcome a motion to designate a certain person on the council. Usually Larry handles that, so if you would wanna make a motion that Larry sign that letter and I can get that drafted.
I'll make a motion that Larry be the one to sign that letter approving Sam.
Second.
All in favor?
Cindy Holland,
Aye.
Rick Deerwester.
Aye.
Gary Bennington,
Aye.
Greg J,
All right,
Larry Fiddler.
Aye.
Alright. So I'll get that letter drafted.
Thank you. At the last meeting, new office hours were proposed to begin on July 4th. With the change that's happened, with Kelly being off during the summer and will not be back until school starts, that leaves just me and Water Susie, not to be confused with Accountant Susie, but Water Susie, to hold down the fort. And again, we'll find out what Trina's hours, but as it sits right now, if we could, we're good with Wednesdays. If we could postpone Saturday's hours until August, because as far as getting someone in here, like to get someone in here and hired, trained, it's a lot more than just here you go. We've got a SOP book this thick, and it's a lot to learn. And where I was going to be Water Susie's backup, I'm now going to be Clerk Treasurer's backup, where I feel that it's gonna need a lot more manpower. So if we could postpone Saturdays,
That's a
maybe
good
to
idea.
be added later. Wednesdays are perfectly doable. So to be open the Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5. And like I said, to just postpone the Saturdays.
Well, per our conversation earlier, I think that's a great idea to drop the Saturdays in the interim till we get things worked out.
Yeah.
And then, we also talked about increasing Sam's pay, in the interim, since she's stepping up to kind of the acting clerk, of raising her pay up to $18 an hour. So do we need a motion for that?
We're
Would
gonna
it
have
be two
to-
separate? One for the hours, cause last time it was introduced and it was only voted on once. So would this be the official vote?
It would be,
Okay.
and that's, we've got it on the agenda later on, down towards the bottom.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay, so if we're gonna change that process, I'll need to change our ordinance, or, our resolution, taking the Saturdays off there. In regards to changing Sam's pay, Sam, are you on I know you're part-time right now, right? Okay. So before we do anything with that, I would prefer that the council, let's figure out the salary ordinance. I need to talk with Susie and, the accountant Susie, and then potentially maybe we could get it backdated for Sam. But I just wanna make sure that, I don't know what's going on right now with the ordinance situation, with the officer's pay being incorrect. And I wanna make sure, I wanna talk to this outside accountant to see exactly what is going on, so we can make sure that we're doing everything appropriately in terms of, changing Sam's pay. So I would prefer if we just hold off on that one, and then we can table the resolution 2020 for the hours and the, building standards. We can table that until our meeting. We'll probably need to have a special meeting again this month, to potentially handle some of these issues. So,
And can I ask you a question about what you're talking about?
sure.
The ordinances that you're referring to, are they, on, like, are they public? Are they on, like, the town of Cloverdale's website? Just curious.
So they're not,
Okay.
but our salary ordinances, they're not on the town of Cloverdale's website. They may be uploaded to Gateway, but I'm not very proficient with Gateway. So, I know that those have to be submitted to the State Board of Accounts to review.
Okay.
So,
How about job descriptions?
yeah, the job descriptions we have in our employee manual.
But they're not online
They're not.
to the
no.
public, okay.
And I wanna make sure that the way the salary ordinance was done in the past,
Mhm.
we're gonna get away from that method of doing our salary ordinances, because it really just needs to be more detailed and more specific in how we go about doing those things. So now that we know that, you know, in regards to, you know, especially with the changes that have been made to the officers' salaries, I just wanna make sure that we're doing everything appropriately in the short term. I don't wanna rush into making a decision just overnight.
Is there a particular format that you are asked to follow in terms of the salary ordinances and or job descriptions? As a legislative body, you know, or a municipality, do you have to follow a certain format?
There's not really a certain format. Every municipality does it just a little bit differently.
Okay.
I think in the past, ours haven't been descriptive enough, and I think that we need to include more detail in our salary ordinances to ensure that, you know, that the council has more oversight and understanding of, you know, like what the officer's pay is. We wanna make sure that there's transparency. In the past with Ms. Galloway, it's been here recently too, it's been very difficult to get questions answered, so, you know, having this outside resource, Ms., I don't know Susie's last name, but at least maybe
I think
Speaking
Bassman,
of her,
Baseman.
understanding
Yes.
exactly what's been budgeted for these positions this year, I think will be very helpful. So before we do anything with Sam's pay, I would just request that the council table that, and then we can look at back paying Sam.
And we'll table it, but we'll use today's date as our.
Yes.
And just to clarify a little bit, when she did, it was very open, like there were no names used. It was like water clerk or deputy
The
clerk.
title of the role.
Yes, it was by the role,
It was
not
not
by
matched to
the
a particular
person.
individual.
Yes.
Right.
And did the job descriptions include the qualifications required, like education, work history, that type of thing?
They do not, no. In the past, there
Okay.
has not been really a standard for some of these positions.
Okay,
So that's hopefully something that we can do moving forward as well, is maybe define greater detail as to maybe what the expectation is for a
if you need
potential
help, I'll
employee.
volunteer.
Well, thank you.
My 30 years of HR,
That would be
no charge.
extremely helpful.
I feel like Kelly was starting to kind of work through the handbook and kind of put in play, like, to clarifying and to get everything in writing, which may be useful.
I think the job descriptions may be in the employee's handbook. I'm not positive, but I think they are.
Thanks, Gary. Okay.
Yeah, I believe it is, but I don't know if there's any requirements on.
Pre-qual or anything.
Right.
Okay.
I have a question as to when this Wednesday employment is gonna start, or the office being open on Wednesday. Because I was just informed today that work orders are not worked on Wednesday because the office is closed, and so work orders are not functional on Wednesday either.
If they're turned in on Tuesday and the guys that work in the field are able to get to them, it is. However, the one in particular that you're talking about, I mean, unfortunately, when there's an emergency ahead of it, there, for those of you that don't know, there was a sewer line bust this afternoon in Stardust. Unfortunately, that does take precedent over, I mean, even moving forward, basically, there are other work orders. They come in they're done as they come in.
We're just now getting into the open on Wednesdays, Don. That's something that's just starting as we're coming out of the pandemic restrictions.
When is this gonna start into effect? That's, I guess, the next question.
Next week?
It's pretty much next week. I mean,
Next
we were
Wednesday, not tomorrow.
Yeah, next
Correct.
week.
You're talking
that would
about
be the-
opening on
opening
Wednesday?
Wednesdays.
Well,
Can
in
we
our-
give that 1 week to basically to make sure, I know that when the Water Susie has a second job, and I wanna make sure that she's available, or that that someone is available before.
Let me just say too, folks, in our last meeting, we had defined that would begin.
July 4th,
July
6th,
6th.
but
or
yeah.
July 6th.
So we'd have to go back and amend all of that information.
So July 6th, that's our official Wednesday opening.
But we did say we would try to do it as
Early.
personnel
Kind of a trial
allow.
personnel,
If we got personnel along the way, we will go ahead and open it sooner.
but we do have a deadline date
Yeah.
for being open on Wednesdays.
Right.
And that is-
Pandemic was the main decision for delay to July the 4th.
Because
If it's
obviously
raised,
if the
we'll probably start
pandemic,
it sooner.
if they put restrictions back on for the pandemic, we're gonna step back on it. It's kind of depending on what the governor does with the state and office.
Okay,
Speaking of, do you want to go ahead and with the hours and standards, I had one more thing, do you want to cover that now since we're kind of in it? Or would you like me to wait until we get to 8:00?
That's a resolution 2020.
Thought we're not doing that.
Well, yeah, if you guys wanna just table that until our next
Yeah.
meeting,
Okay.
that way we can amend that resolution and then kinda get a little better idea as to our personnel, challenges, and I think we'll try to just figure out at least what the, work schedules of our employees are gonna be like in terms of staffing the office, so.
Well, and also the field, where before Wednesdays, the guys, that was kind of their day to get their stuff done, and now we're sending them work orders. and kind of along the same line is that the ordinance that the water side follows, the 2016-18, since we're planning ordinances anyways, I wasn't sure if there was a way to add a no work orders or turn on, turn offs that for the same day after 3 p.m. because the guys work till 4 and we will be open until 5. That'll give them that hour to, we've had some people get really huffy about not being able to get same day turn on or turn off when they come after 3 and we close it. I mean, the office closes at 4:30, but the guys leave at 4. So without messing with their hours, to just add to the ordinance or amend the ordinance that says 3 o'clock is the shut off, or the
Work order.
the work order shut off portion of,
Work orders
Yeah.
won't be done.
yeah. Then the guys don't have to worry about overtime, we don't have to worry about it getting done. So, like I said, the office isn't really supported right now for Wednesdays with work orders. I don't know what their staffing looks like, if they need more help. You'd have to talk to Brad or Richard. But I know that per Cheryl's budget, it had another at least part-time person for the field allotted. But again, we're gonna have to dig into that. So just kind of something to think about for the next time it's brought up. And then my last thing is, since the last full-time normal meeting, there were 72 locates done, 57 work orders, there were 3 turn-offs, 4 turn-ons, 13 link checks, 2 downloaded meters, 7 transfers, 9 new, 4 rereads, 6 meter replace, repair, or checks, and then 9 other, 2 of which were from sewer backup and Stardust that was flush and clean. And that is all that I have.
Okay. Update on building inspector? You wanna do that, Daniel?
Yes, and I just wanted to let you all know, we had a conversation last week, and actually we've had some questions about this as well. I had a conversation that there was a person who was interested in maybe doing some part-time inspecting on behalf of the town. My recommendation right now is to put that on hold until we see what is gonna happen on the 18th with the county. You know, we've expressed a great desire to have the county take on the town's inspection services. And I believe the county will be able to potentially do that. We'll have greater information after the 18th. Right now, we plan on having Larry and Greg going to speak to the commissioners, to encourage them to take on the inspections and the permitting for the town of Cloverdale. I know that some folks in the community are probably needing stuff immediately, but we're getting very close to having a resolution to this problem, and unfortunately it just takes a little bit of extra time. So my recommendation right now would be to hold off on doing anything with any kind of potential part-time inspector. We want to make sure that the county knows that our desire is for them to take on these responsibilities, to take on these duties, and hopefully have a unified system of permits and inspections throughout the entire county. I think that'll probably be beneficial in the future as Cloverdale continues to grow and attracts new businesses and hopefully bring in new industry and jobs. So I think having a unified approach throughout the county will be beneficial, not just for the county, but also for the town. So that would be my recommendation. Like I said, we'll probably need to have another special meeting at some point this month to resolve some just other items. So depending on what happens after the 18th, we'll probably have a better idea as to what steps we need to take. And I have spoken to Mr. Katz, and he's ready to go. He's just waiting on the green light, but I have instructed him that, right now that the town wants to make sure that we have all our ducks in a row before we do anything.
And that was recently, you just talked to him?
Yes,
Okay.
I spoke to him, yesterday,
Okay.
so.
So in the meantime, if someone needs a building permit or needs something done building wise, where do we send them? How do you want us to handle it?
So going forward, at least until we have, greater information, I guess, from the county, we will not be taking any permit fees, any inspection fees for the town. That would be my recommendation to the council.
We're on hold till the 18th.
Yeah.
So if someone should want one, we just say.
We're on hold
we're
till
on
the
hold.
18th.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually, if they need a permit or an inspection of some type, we'll want to redirect them to the county in Greencastle so that they can go up there and pay for the permit or the inspection. At that time, I would request that whoever's in the office, potentially working with that individual, please take down their contact information and forward it to me. And I will forward that information to the county so that they know that this person is coming up, what their reason, or what the reason is that they're requesting a permit or an inspection. They'll have that information, they'll know that we're, sending these individuals to them. So hopefully we'll have a good process and we'll be able to get something finalized on the 18th.
If the county does take over, will they just do the final inspection, or will they do all the inspections in between?
They'll do all the inspections in between, they'll do everything.
Okay.
Hopefully that answers your questions. I did want to give you guys an update, because I have been in contact with the county, I've also been in contact with Mr. Katz, and, you know, we're very close to our meeting with the commissioners, so my thought is, let's put this on hold, let's not, you know, potentially, we don't wanna, give them the wrong sign that maybe we don't wanna work with them.
Yeah.
We want them to know that the town.
And that will be Monday, the 18th.
It's the 18th, yes, yes. So I know we do have some folks here in town who need permits.
Yeah.
So, you know, I will do my best to reach out to them and inform them in advance that there is gonna be just a few more days of delay.
Okay. Next is INDOT, and I assume this is about the sidewalk, is that correct?
It is. So, I just wanted to give you all some information. I sent it out in your packets before the meeting. Let me make sure I have the document here in front of me. On May 4th, INDOT sent a letter to, well, I assume the town. I didn't get it until May 8th from Mrs. Galloway. But apparently back in January, someone filed an anonymous complaint about some newly installed sidewalks on Lafayette, yes, right there near Whitaker Funeral Home.
Yeah.
On the west side.
Yeah. Apparently the sidewalks were not ADA compliant. INDOT came out, inspected, in fact, they are not ADA compliant. We're gonna have to take care of that here, and I would assume we'll probably have to pull those sidewalks out and replace them.
Yes, I talked with the contractor, and he is willing to provide the labor. He's already measured it. Looks like it'll be somewhere between $800 and $1,000 for materials, which we would be responsible for. And apparently he had that agreement with Wayne before Wayne left.
Is this the contractor that did the original work?
Yes.
Do we have any proof of the original, or is it just his word?
What do you mean?
Like you said that he had an agreement with Wayne, is there anything in writing, or is it?
He has text messages that he received from Wayne. And apparently he had them formed up. He asked Wayne to come out and look at them. Wayne said, go ahead and pour them. They're fine. And as it turns out, they are not fine.
It was the angle of the slope, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's supposed to be 2% fall, and there's more than that.
I'm a little hesitant in accepting that as a good answer, because if he knew it needed to be ADA,
He wasn't aware of what ADA was himself,
Who, Wayne wasn't?
the contractor.
Oh, the contractor.
So he asked Wayne to come and look at them, and Wayne said, go ahead and pour them, they're fine.
That's problematic.
So, in regards to that letter, we have to respond to INDOT with a plan as to what we're gonna do, so I'll be in contact with the contractor, getting some better information about what needs to be done. They've also requested some, information on the town's ADA.
Contact info and
Yeah.
stuff, yeah.
So, in the building inspector office, I have seen Wayne's got he's got a folder in there that says ADA, so I would assume that was his resource for, compliance with the ADA, so I'm gonna go through that and see what is in that, and, potentially if that's information that I'll direct back to INDOT. So, we have 60 days from the 4th to respond, so we've got a little bit of a window. But we'll need to at least develop some kind of plan so that we can let them know that we are correcting that and of course, making sure it's up to standards.
and this again will be corrected when we start doing inspections through the county, because they'll note that things aren't up to code.
Yeah, the county, in conversations with the county, they've said that is one thing that they do, very intentionally, is making sure that they're fully in line with the state standards and the state code, so, I think that's gonna be another positive for working with the county.
Well, and it's,
Danielle, there's a couple more comments on here that people need to speak up, they're not hearing you.
Okay.
Says, if you talk close to the microphones.
Yes.
And Daniel, you're very muffled.
Yeah, it's the mask, I'm
There,
sorry.
see, when you talk that loud, then we can.
I will try to talk louder for you guys, sorry.
but for future references, when we take bids for sidewalks and curbing, we need to make sure that the ADA compliance is followed.
And that the contractors are
Aware
aware
of
of
it.
what ADA
Yeah.
Be in a
is.
bid
Yes.
packet from now on, probably.
Hmm?
Probably a bid packet, no.
Yeah, it should be in the bid packet.
Yes. We have lots of questions, folks. Do you guys want me to go through the questions now, or would you prefer to?
Is
Wait
it
until the
relevant
end.
to what we're discussing?
Yes, no.
Some of them I think are things you've already gone over, so.
Yeah,
All right, let's wait till the end.
okay.
Okay, are we ready for new business? Invoices for payment, those will be worked on tomorrow, is that correct?
Also, if, it was brought to my attention that if you don't have a code to that office, you can't put your needed bill to be paid, like for the work done on, say, like the police cars. So I have added a slot on the mailbox, because obviously you can't put them in the invoice tray if you don't have the code to the door. So, should any of the, if you have an invoice and it's not normal business hours, if you just slide it in the mailbox that's labeled invoice, I will get to it and take care of it.
All right, because we'll want to make sure, I know with Haywood's, that's one of the things with the police department.
Yeah.
Scott has brought that to our attention, because if we're past the 30-day mark, they're charging a late fee, and then interest on the late fee, and I know, Adam, you dropped yours off, and it wasn't paid for like a month after we submitted it, and we got hit with a late fee, and then, of course, that again comes out of our budget, the late fee and the interest on the late fee, so.
Yeah, and I feel that without going into great detail, I feel that working from the water side, there is a conflict working with Haywood's. I know that we wanted to keep it in town and local, but as of right now, there are financial issues where I feel that your late fees, even if it was a week later, there has been conversation where I feel we may want to separate the town, the town business from the water. And I can go into detail with the council later on the details, But there has been some issues on the water side, with Haywoods. So it may be in at least the police department's best interest to search out a different mechanic to work on the vehicles until it can be resolved. Just my opinion from the water side. And that can be tabled.
Well, I'll say we've used Haywoods, I know pretty much here in town. He's done a fantastic job, and I know the officers feel very comfortable and safe with the work he's done on our vehicles, so.
Okay.
You have a question in the back?
Yes, sir.
The only issues that we've had is that the bills were not getting paid.
Okay.
As far as the work being done, I haven't had any complaints about
Okay.
the work and the timeliness of the work.
Okay.
Gary has a question.
Steve, is the regular service still being done down at the wastewater plant with that new lift?
It never has, because they've never had a certified mechanic to do it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, anything else? Park Board. Go ahead.
In addition to the voting on the asphalt ceiling, all of the asphalt in the park is what you're gonna vote on. I'd also like the board to consider, the contract on the painting of the restrooms, especially on the inside, because I wanna use an epoxy-based floor covering, and that needs to be done here pretty quick before we open up, if you would consider that also.
And do we have any budget numbers for them?
I don't have any.
So I get my budget numbers from Cheryl, and when
Okay.
I contacted her earlier this week, I found out she resigned. So as the treasurer, I don't have any new numbers. I know that we have $6,000 to use every year, and because of the pandemic and because we've basically been all but shut down up there, all we've been paying are water and electric bills. So most of our budget is there, and then I would say whatever we would need above that is in our donation fund. And that's the fund I don't know the exact number on, because I would normally get that from Cheryl.
Alyssa, I should be able to get that for you tomorrow. I will add it to my list.
Okay. Yeah, and I think Sam's helped with that before, so.
I have.
But I am confident that there is enough money in our accounts to cover both of those quotes. And then I do wanna point out that they're both local. Both those businesses that we gave you quotes for are local businesses in town, that we wanna give business to right now.
Right. Okay, so we need to vote on that?
Well,
We might wanna wait until she gives the
We
numbers.
get numbers.
Yeah,
We
okay.
can absolutely vote on it,
So
yeah.
we wanna table it for the special meeting?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it sounds like a special meeting might be needed,
yeah.
yeah.
All right.
Okay. Thank you. Invoices for the sewer plant blowers.
Yes, unfortunately, I don't have them in front of me. We'll probably need to table that as well. I believe the total was approximately
Yeah.
$38,000. We'll wanna make sure that we get that paid soon, so we'll put that on the agenda for this special meeting, and I will reach out to the company and let them know that, kind of we're in a transition phase. Our clerk treasurer resigned, and we're gonna be getting those paid as soon as we can.
Okay, the police car lease has been finalized, car's been delivered. Is there anything else on that?
No.
No.
Okay. Train depot contract,
Yeah.
everything's been done on that now, hasn't it?
Yep, I gotta get your signature this evening.
Okay.
And, Bill Mankin has indicated that he'll begin work this next week on Monday. We got the builder's risk insurance policy in place through HPG, and, yeah, ready to go on it.
Okay. UMAC,
Well, I'll introduce myself. My name's Troy Ellis. I'm one of the owners of UMAC, and we've been working with you guys for about 5 years now. And our main job has always been operating we provided operators and we operated the treatment facility. When we had our previous operator, Scott, he worked with Wayne in the boards, and you were on an agreed order, and with Scott's work and everybody, we got off that agreed order. Well, we've been having some issues, some compliance issues since then, that some red flags have really come up lately with some of the overflows and things like that. So we have a compliance person her name's Bridget Murphy, and she's got 15 years experience in the water and wastewater industry, and would be glad to help get through these issues. That's Bridget's forte, and she's actually prepared some documentation for you guys. I know we don't want to keep you here all night, but
Right.
I'll let her talk about it, and if you have any questions, we can talk about.
Right, so I want to start off by saying the 15 years experience is at IDEM. I was actually the drinking water inspector here back in, I don't know, 8 years ago. But anyway, the way I've handled this, and I have the folder and I have a USB drive with all of it on it, so you guys can take a look at it. I took an overall view of the last 3 to 4 years on compliance issues from the inspections. And I talked to the field I talked to Holly Zerker. I'm sure you guys know who Holly is. On your behalf, I got a 14-day extension to respond back to IDEM. She used to work for me, so anyway. So what I've done is taken, I don't want to say critical is the word, but a comprehensive look at what the inspections say and what the town's responses say and where the gaps are. And I have some questions in here that need answered. That response, I have listed a bullet point for the letter that kind of talks about what we need to talk about, but I probably need to have these questions answered so I can write a meaningful response, correct? And along with the collection system, we don't handle it, but I'm more than willing to come down and, look at the guys' records, see what can be improved, teach them how to do, when you have a sewer main, what they're supposed to break, what they're supposed to do, and get them on the right track to fix the collection system. And then present that response to IDEM. And if we can get this response done and submitted properly, we would more than likely avoid another enforcement action. So, like I said, I don't want to go into detail because it's pages and pages and pages, but I will leave this with you, and maybe if it's possible for us to come back at the special meeting, you guys take a look at this and then let me know if you have any questions and we can talk about it at that time.
Do you also need to talk to the employees in the field at that time, or?
No. I'll schedule, if we come to this agreement, I'll schedule a regular visit to the plant with the guys and get them up to speed, like once a month or whatever.
Because I really think, like we talked about on the phone, is if we can utilize your employees and maybe train them, we can avoid a lot of these issues in the future. Yeah. And that'll just save money for you guys.
Let me say this, that the issues that we have are easily fixed. A lot of them are documentation, consistent documentation and things like that, which once you can train these guys to say, this is what you do here, here, and here, maybe write an SOP, then they should have the right path to fix things. Okay?
Go ahead. So there's no single item that is in this situation that is causing this problem?
There's multiple items.
Yeah.
And some of these are easy fix?
Well, some of them, yes. I mean, the overlying issue with Cloverdale is your I&I, or inflow and infiltration. And it's not speaking from past experiences, it's not an easy thing to get rid of. And IDEM doesn't expect 100% removal because you can't do it, right?
But don't they show you, if we show progress
correct
in that direction?
Correct.
And I think that's what she's talking about, the easy fix,
Right.
is documenting that.
Some of them are easy.
Yeah, once we get the documentation in order, then maybe we're still gonna have bigger issues,
Right.
but we're not gonna have the enforcement issues. That they're gonna have more faith that we're reporting these things in a timely manner. And then we can come up with a plan moving forward in the future.
Right. And when you read this, I still have regulator eyes, so I'm looking at it as a regulator and what you guys need to fix the problem. So I'm not being critical, I'm just trying that. Also with the reporting, and this is why I brought that up, is, you know, you had about 15 overflows from January 19 to the week Wayne left, and then you had none magically since he left. So I don't know if they don't know how, but that's something that I can definitely teach them and what they need to look for and stuff like that. So.
And I will point out that the break today, Brad did reach out, and I offered up that I would come down and help him, show him how to do the overflow reports. That's something that Wayne always did do. Like she said, since he's been gone, I don't know if they've been reported, I don't think so, but I did tell him that I would come down. We did report it, the 24-hour notice, so we have 5 days to get that response back into IDEM. So that will be taken care of, and we will work with them and show them what they need to do.
And so for the not easy fixes, and I have a copy of the email that Holly sent you about your response to them. And basically, you know, what she said is true. Like we've been chipping away at it for so long that it's time to look at it as a grand scale project, which is, you know, gonna cost money, but I don't think IDEM's willing to accept fully televised 4 lines this year and fix 6 manholes here. We need to take an overall look at your collection system and what we can do, whether it be, you know, pumpage at the lift stations. There's a multitude of reasons why, but you definitely need to take a hard look at that.
Yes. Supposedly our collection system's been televised a couple of times, and nothing seems to be done afterwards.
Well, and that's noted in here, and the responses that the town has sent in the past. You know, we televised 80% of the lines. And these are the questions I'm asking. Did that get done, and what happened after, and where's the data? And so I don't know if they did, obviously, and what they did with the information, but I'm willing to look into it if I have the data to do it.
Got a question for you, sir. Where the main sewage comes in and to that pit there, and that machine, is that machine all right, working okay?
It is, yeah, I mean, it seems to be working fine now. I know there's a lot of issues. I mean, it's in a harsh environment. Those bearings go bad quite a bit, but I mean, it seems to be working good for the time being.
Okay, Don?
Well, this issue is not a new issue for this town or for this board. This issue goes back years, decades. And all of these recommendations, some of them may or may not have been followed through with. It's my understanding that doesn't the town own a camera to camera these lines?
Yes.
And it may be a situation, I'm just gonna be honest, that you have to have an outside source I don't think, and I need to dive into it more, that the town has the capability and man hours to do what needs to be done. So there may be some outsourcing if needed. That's something you need to think about.
Outside source did televise.
Well, I need that.
Those are things we've gotta look at.
Right, and that's what I need all that to, you know, come up with a solution.
Because, no, I remember that. They came in, they televised, they did some cleaning. If I remember correctly, we're on a plan to do so much footage a year. And, yeah, I just don't know. I know they may have done some repairs. I just don't know how much they've done.
And obviously, not enough to get you off of IDEM's radar.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, if you don't do anything, you're just gonna get in trouble. I mean, I mean, that's
And
all
trust
it
me,
is.
I'm the one that used to get you in trouble, so I know.
And that's
I know where
that's
it's
why you
headed
call
if we
us,
don't
because you're-
nip
you're
this in
getting
the
the
bud.
letters now, again.
Yeah.
And trust me, this isn't a problem, it's just specific to Cloverdale, this is.
Everybody's got a new idea and it's the same problem. Remember, we keep approaching it with the same, we gotta do this, and outside people do this and that and the other thing, and we still wind up with a problem.
Well, you're gonna have problems no matter what, because everything's deteriorating
You don't
at the
get
same
rid-
pace.
You don't get rid of inflow and infiltration. You don't.
But UMAC has worked for us before, or still are. They know some of our problems. And basically what they're here for is to,
Keep us in compliance.
right, keep us in compliance, and we need a motion to hire them to do that.
Yeah, I don't know, I know, I think in conversations you had mentioned kind of like a fee schedule of some type that,
Sure.
and I don't know if that's something that you would have tonight or.
Well, in my head, I do. I can write it down. Obviously, the first couple months are gonna be hour heavy, because we gotta get them started and trained, but to keep you in compliance and make like a monthly visit to see if the guys are doing what they need to do, I would say on a normal month, 10 to 15 hours, and then the first couple months closer to 15, 20 to get things rolling, and then it would be a consistent 10 to 15, unless something blows up.
I mean, the thing about this, you're exactly right, but we can't, the problem is we can't let up. I mean, we've gotta keep, this is a thing that's gonna be your problem from now on, and when you're gone, and when I'm gone, and when we're all gone, you're still gonna have the same problem. And we're gonna have to continue, the town is gonna have to continue to work at it, find the leaks, improve it, because it's not gonna get any better, it's gonna get worse.
Well, and as an insider-ish, a lot of companies that do this smoke testing and all the televising, they have the data, but they don't provide it off the top of the bat, and usually it's an extra fee to get your data. So if and when you do hire someone, I would have the capability of trying to figure out, do we get the data automatically, following up to make sure we have the data, and then UMAC can look at it and, you know, see what needs to be done in a project forward way. Does that make sense?
And listen, we're all about it. If you got a camera and you've got the resources and you got the time, I mean, that's what we're all about. We wanna utilize your people to save you the most amount of money and, you know, make you more self-efficient with this moving forward.
And basically, Bill has been working with the employees
Yeah.
down there to put in the blower motor and what have you.
Yeah, I mean, just look at that. We saved you a ton of money by not hiring
Correct.
engineering firms and things like that, and just doing that all in-house.
Right.
I mean, that's what we're trying to do. Ultimately, it makes our job easier if we don't have all that rain flow coming in down there.
Yeah.
It just screws everything up.
Right.
Well, and, you know, it avoids big projects, you know, to raise rates. I mean, it has a trickle-down effect on a lot of things that, you know, you don't realize,
Right.
so.
But she did a good job. She compiled all this data for you guys to look
Yeah,
at.
do you know what you want? And then there's a hard drive that you can email it to whomever you need to. I sanitized it before I left the house, but you may want to. You may want to, redo it. There you go.
Do we need to make a motion for this?
Yes, if the council would like to work with UMAC in this, greater capacity to handle some of the compliance-related issues, and I guess
At least
essentially
get us
developing a,
plan, a global plan, and stay on track
Yeah.
and minimize what's the inevitable.
we would need a motion.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion?
Yeah, my own motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Cindy Holland,
Aye.
Rick Deerwest.
Aye.
Gary Bennington, Larry Fiddler,
Aye.
Greg Zins.
Aye.
Because this is new, does it need a second vote?
No.
No.
And we did do some due diligence. We did contact another company and we compared hourly rates. And we did take the lower hourly rate.
And the company that we're working with.
Congratulations.
So,
Steal.
So we will be in contact with, probably with you guys, and if you remember what what all we've done so far.
So hopefully too, with this and some of the responses that you'll need, I don't know if that would be something that Brad would be able to
Brad will probably be the biggest
go
help.
to.
Is that Brad Folk, is that his last name?
Falk, yes.
Yeah, and I addressed that. I think I need to sit down with Brad and see. My questions and comments are in red, so I probably need to set up a meeting with Brad to see where this is and where that is, and things like that. Also, one thing I forgot is, when is the last time that the sewer use ordinance was updated? And may I have a copy of it?
Yes.
Of which one?
Well, first I'll say I'm not certain. Second, I'll have to get you a copy of that.
Okay.
Ms. Galloway would have had all those documents in her offices,
I
so
should have access to the past ones,
Okay.
so,
that would
I'll
be
give
helpful
you after
too, to
for your
review that and
contact.
see if we can make any improvements in it.
Yeah, because your sewer use ordinance can allow you to do a lot of things that you wouldn't be able to do, as in home inspections on sub pumps, illegal connections by downspouts that do cause problems with inflow and infiltration. They can, if the board passes it, they can have fines, associated with it, and you can develop a program basically to avoid these, flows. So.
Thank you.
I do have one other thing. For our operator agreement down there, our contract has expired, and I gave that to Wayne a while ago, and I don't know if he ever gave it to you. I assume not. Would that be something that I could get to you guys?
Yes.
The updated contract? Okay.
And then again, if you want us to come back for the special meeting, once you've had a chance to learn that, just let me know. I do live in Indy, but,
Is your contact information in here?
no, I'm gonna give it to her. Yeah. I have your email through emails from Holly and stuff, so I can email you all my stuff if you want.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else for them? Dan?
In you guys' professional opinion, what's it gonna take to fix this sewer system properly and forever? A new sewer system?
Well, you can't do that.
Okay,
You
the
can't?
first answer
They
is,
can't.
I have no idea yet, cause I don't have data. The second answer is, it's never gonna be fixed 100%. That's just the nature of the beast. With every town, Indianapolis has problems with it, Chicago has problems with it.
That's a poor example, because they've been given waivers for years. It's the small towns that pay the price.
Well, then I'm gonna tell you, every small town's got the problem. Every small town in the state of Indiana has this.
Like I said, I've been in the business of IDEM for 15 years,
Well,
and everyone has these problems. Everyone, size, everyone.
Bill gave you a quick tour the other day, and there's a control panel down there that was not probably installed correctly when the plant was put in. So the foundation that it sits on is leaning back. Well, the control panel is now at an angle, plus it has sewer gas coming up into it. And who would think that sewer gas would eat contacts? Who thinks about that? I never thought about it. But the sewer gas is coming up into the control panel, starting to corrode things, and it's actually gonna eat itself up. And that's an ongoing problem that you have. It's just happens.
Right. And there is a piece on there about some public outreach and public education that could help. So we can discuss that more if you want to.
Okay. Anything else? Thank you.
If you're good, are we good to go?
You're good to go.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Redevelopment. Is there anyone in attendance that would like to be on the redevelopment commission?
We have a vacancy.
maybe if they knew what that consisted of?
A monthly meeting? And you want to expand on that?
Or maybe at the special meeting.
Okay. But if there's anyone who is watching that would like to join that, give us a call here at the office.
And just so you know, the redevelopment commission is kind of It's a way that the town can kind of plan for the future, and the town has a comprehensive plan for bringing in businesses and residents, and the redevelopment commission works to not just comply with that comprehensive plan, but to develop strategies to bring in investment, new individuals into the town, all kinds of different things like that. So just so you know, in case anyone's listening online.
And should anyone want to see the comprehensive plan, I do know where that is.
Okay, would you guys want to answer questions?
Sure.
We have several questions that need responded to. And, let's see. Okay, James McKee asked, before purchasing any large dollar items, should we wait for a new clerk treasurer to determine what our town budget is?
Yes and no. There's some things that have to be taken care of as we go, so.
And I plan on seeing if Susie, the accountant, can kind of give me some insight on that. In addition to her, there's also Janet, who they work like under the same company, but basically one does one part and one does the other. Between the both of them, one of them should be able to help me get at least a rough numbered budget based on the one that Cheryl put in play.
Okay, Renee Cameron asks, is there a way to reduce water bills to attract more home buyers to Cloverdale?
Not that easy.
I try every day.
Not that easy.
Well, and considering, I know a couple months ago, it was talking about raising it again. So I think right now it's kind of at a standstill. And for those that don't know, it is as high as it is because of back in the early 2000s when they took out that $4 million loan to fix, specifically, I'm not entirely,
Wastewater.
yeah, something with the wastewater. We're still paying that back, which is why they are so high. I know that towards the end of last year, Cheryl was talking about one of them being where they could be somehow refinanced more locally. Once I kind of get a grasp on this stuff, I plan on kind of looking into that to understand it better. Because I know that she had mentioned maybe going to one of the local banks to see if we could finance it through them. That way our town is getting the money instead of the big bank that we pay it now. But I know that we have to pay so much first before we can refinance it. So I just need to dig in and see what those numbers are to bring it to Cloverdale, so First National Bank or OCB can get the interest, and at least it'll stay local.
Okay, Patricia Kuhn asks, in regards to the Keystone training, who will take it, and will the clerk learn how to do it?
Currently there is no clerk. The new one, yes, will learn how to do it. I think that I'm kind of the one that volunteered, and that's something that with Keystone they have in addition to Suzette being basically on call and can go into TeamViewer, the actual like voice systems through Keystone, they have someone that, should you be having an issue, you can call them, say if Suzette doesn't answer or is unavailable. So there will always be some sort of coverage of training and help.
Okay, there was a question by James McKee, with no building inspectors, the town still operating under the town building code, the county or the state? Are the BZA and zoning boards still active or needed? So the BZA and zoning, everything's kind of been put on hold for the time being until we get, I think, a better grasp on next steps for replacing some positions with the town in terms of building inspector, town manager, if that's something the council wants to do. So I think ultimately the town's, those are just, we're kind of in a holding pattern on those. In regards to the building inspector, the town still does have the town building code, and that town code, of course, specific ordinances regarding, the building code of the town are to be enforced. But the county also will be, potentially enforcing the state standards as well. So, once we get something lined up with the county, they will begin the process of, determining how to, I guess, handle those things moving forward. So, I guess in regards to this question, Mr. McKee, yes, in regards to the BZA and zoning, and, we're gonna wait and see what happens with the county. And, for the time being, though, the town building code is still in force.
Don?
Well, are finished now with that
Oh, yeah.
program? And I would just like to revisit a couple of things that the attorney touched on here. And one of them is bringing new homes and more construction to Cloverdale. And in regards to the $4 million expenditure for the wastewater treatment plant that was done 20 plus years ago, and that burden is still with us today. That plant was built and expanded at that time with the expectation of the good times were never gonna end. I was putting in 12 to 18 homes, new homes per year in Stardust Hills back in 2000. Well, with the crash of '08, and since '08, the crash of the housing industry coast to coast, it has been very difficult just to maintain the office and maintain the homes that we have in stock and to rehab them and reissue them and have people move back in them and pay a water and sewer bill and pay the taxes and maintain those properties. And I have rehabbed more homes in Cloverdale than anybody else. The majority of them in Stardust Hills. And we had a majority of the, should I say, bank failures on home purchases because we were the cluster of new homes being built at that time with new people moving in with a minimum amount of down payments, monthly payments, etc. And they were the first ones to lose their homes in the downtime after 2008. We are now getting out of that situation slowly at this time, but now we have a new challenge with the virus that we are currently fighting from coast to coast at this time and worldwide. And so it's another new challenge that we have to face now, but we still have the bills to pay that are for the loans that we took out to expand the wastewater treatment plant 20 years ago to take care of a 20-year expansion that didn't last 20 years. So that's why we are suffering from this situation of having to pay these bills at this time. But we also supplemented the income to the town to help offset that, and it's being used. It's being used.
I do have just a few more questions.
I have a clarification on
Sure.
James's question. I kind of have him on the phone. So basically, we were informed because I was at the house, but if the town goes with a county building inspector, that BZA would no longer be needed because the town wouldn't be doing its own zoning. So that's his question. Is that true? If we go with the county, will we no longer have BZA?
Well, we're gonna just wait and see what the county does.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of, I think, we just need to wait and see what the county decides to do. And then ultimately, if they do take it on, then they'll handle zoning matters too.
Okay.
So, yeah. Hopefully, they'll approve our petition and we'll get something set up with them here in the next few weeks. Got some more questions for you folks. Sorry, it's a question about Sam being the payroll person, which hopefully I think that's been answered. There's a question about Cheryl not working for the town any longer. Ms. Galloway resigned effective May 11th, 2020, so she is no longer the clerk treasurer. There's a question about when the farmer's market will start back up.
It started last Saturday.
I think it's 8 to noon.
It is,
Yeah,
it's 8 to noon. The only thing, is there were a couple changes just with, in compliance with the coronavirus. There is a hand washing station available, the booths are a little bit more spread apart. The first hour is for those that, maybe the elderly, those that are like the high risk. The first hour is supposed to be for them to come out, that way that they're not, as at risk. There's sanitizer at every booth, and we do ask that, look, as a vendor out there, that only one person per booth. I mean, if you're, together, then that's fine, but just that way that we can maintain the social distancing.
Okay, Ms. Wingler asks, will there be an ordinance in place that prevents relatives from being employed by the town? Well, just in response to that, Ms. Wingler, the town actually does have an ordinance that basically requires that the town comply with the nepotism laws in the state. That was enacted, I believe, in 2015 in the town of Cloverdale. Relatives can potentially work for the town, but they cannot be within the same line of supervision of each other. That's where it becomes an issue. So if potentially one person was directing another to do something, that could qualify as a violation of that nepotism ordinance and the law. So the town is very proactive with that, and definitely moving forward, we will continue to be mindful of any potential nepotism type violations or concerns, so. James McKee asks, what economic benefit is there for an office being open on Saturday?
Well, I think when we addressed it, it was that people work during the week, the only time that they had available was to come in on a weekend or a Saturday, so.
I mean, people work 8 to 5, they can't get here.
Right.
So.
And then something that's just kind of, it's in the more
Right.
early phase. We are, the ladies at the water side, we are working on getting an not automated, where you can pay online, or an automated system where you do like the monthly. There's a lot more to it than just let's implement it. But we are working towards that way, should, you wanna pay. I know that for me, the water bill is the only bill that I have to actually remember. So we're working to be more technologically,
Coming into the digital era.
yeah. So yeah, we are working for that, and should hopefully have it in the next couple months.
Okay, there's a question from Bob Anderson. If the county takes over inspections, what would be the cost of the town? Just in regards to inspections, Mr. Anderson, the county will just be, any kind of permit fees would be going to the county as opposed to the town. There would not be any cost by the town to have the inspections and the permitting done by the county. Mr. McKee asks, who's at fault for the non-compliance? I'm not sure what he's referring to with wastewater. That we're not sure at this point. I mean,
So I have a question. So Sam is going to be acting like the clerk. Isn't Susie her mother?
Yes.
So how is that gonna work?
well,
And I'm only doing it so we don't get in trouble, not anything against you or your mom.
right.
So
I just
Suzette,
don't wanna get in trouble.
Suzette actually mentioned that because Susie is monitored, the town council is her boss, and the clerk treasurer is a completely separate entity. That is how it's okay,
Well, and
and I'm not the actual clerk treasurer.
Right, and I know
Yeah,
that, but
yeah,
it's
just
like
for-
acting, so I was like, I just don't wanna get in trouble.
well, and she's not necessarily the acting
Right, I
clerk
know.
treasurer, but
She's
she,
just taking on some extra
Right.
duties.
she's
Okay.
taking on some,
Okay, I just wanna make sure.
Yes,
Okay.
and that's something we would have to be mindful of.
Right, I just wanna make sure so we don't.
With Sam and Susie in terms of, that direct line of supervision, that's what we have to be mindful of.
Right, and that's
So,
what I mean, I just
That's
don't
a
wanna get in trouble.
good
Nothing against
question.
them.
Very good question.
I'm glad that they're stepping up, but I'm just saying.
I think that hopefully we'll have something resolved within the next 29 days as to who's gonna be the full-time
Okay,
clerk
right.
treasurer, and, so that was a good question though.
I just didn't wanna get in trouble.
No, it's a great question.
And that was one of the first things that were asked on the
Okay.
phone today,
Okay,
yeah.
you're fine, cause I was like, I just don't wanna get in
Yeah.
trouble.
There's a question about will the county follow our comprehensive plan by Mr. James McKee? I'm not sure, I would imagine so, but those are all conversations we have not had yet. Hopefully on the 18th we'll have more information. Pam Gilman asks, how's at Haywood's Fall if payment is issued, or payment is the issue opposed to his work?
So in regards to that, it has nothing to do with the work done or the invoices. It's the way that the office staff are spoken to by Mr. Haywood that we have the issue. And it's sheerly the way that we are yelled at by Mr. Haywood. And things.
Why is he yelling at you?
Because apparently we're supposed to be the one to pay him, and it's our fault that there's the miscommunication. But,
Because he hasn't got paid in the past, you mean, okay.
yeah, basically, whatever invoicing issue with the vehicles and whatever water portion are separate as far as the office is concerned. So when things are slammed through that itty bitty window and certain language is used,
Right.
that's where my issue is. It has nothing to do with the work. It has nothing to do with anything else. It is just strictly the manner in which the office staff is.
And it's the clerk's place to pay that.
Yeah,
not the
exactly.
water.
It
Okay.
has nothing to do
you.
with that side. It is 100%.
So you're saying he's coming here taking out on you guys
Yes.
because he hasn't gotten paid?
Yes.
Okay, I see.
And yes, there's more to it than that, but
Okay, I
yes,
get
it is.
Patricia Kuhn asks, do we have to elect another clerk treasurer? We actually, the Republican Party will select someone through the caucus process to take over the responsibilities of clerk treasurer for the town. I think that's it. All our questions.
Okay, is there anything else by the council?
No, sir.
That was a no, sir?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, we'll adjourn this meeting at this time.